And I talk a little bit about it in my YouTube channel. I created a video explaining, but it wasn't actually like the complete story. And I never really talk about it in any platform until now.
Oh, wow. We feel very honored.
Please subscribe and turn on your notifications to stay tuned to the latest updates at The Powder Room Talk.
Hello, I'm JJ Liu. Welcome to The Powder Room. The Powder Room is where it gets real, and we thought with such unprecedented times that are happening right now, it's a good time to talk about letting go and moving forward. With us today is Affi Assegaf, who many know as the beauty influencer that gives the real deal reviews on beauty products. Yet what she is known more notably for is in 2007, this Mumpreneur founded Female Daily, which has now become the largest Indonesian beauty platform. Yet in 2019, Affi took an interesting turn, which is she left the baby she founded. She once again allowed her entrepreneurial streak to take flight and founded two other companies, a beauty consulting firm called Venas and Kamayu Beauty. So we're really excited to be able to unpack this topic about letting go and moving forward into new things with Affi. Without further ado, come on into the powder room. So wonderful to have you here with us today at the Powder Room.
It's lovely to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're really excited about today's talk actually. Yeah. But before we go into that, I want to hear first how you and Regina actually met.
So it was back years ago because I used to work in beauty industry, still working in the beauty industry. So Affi was well known as a beauty guru, one of the beauty guru due to the Female Daily platform for sure.
Okay, yes.
So she had, at that time still you had blogs probably and Instagram account. She only started the YouTube last year or 2 years back, I think.
2 years ago.
Back. So YouTube was pretty new for her. But she's always well known for her honest review. And so if you want to know review about products without being biased, I think she can be someone who really talk about how she feels about the product.
Yeah.
And she has quite a sensitive skin too. So I think a lot of people with sensitive skin will relate to her that not every bloggers or influencer has a perfect skin.
Yeah.
You know, and then that's how I met her. So only in 2019 we had a chat in the train from Bandung to Jakarta. And I was so impressed because she went through a lot of struggles, you know, and also her decision of leaving Female Daily. So yeah, it will be very interesting to unpack that today because it's not only about making decision in leaving something that you built, but I think it's more than just that.
Today we're having some of Ristorante Bottega's signatures, one of them being this delicious truffle egg pizza. They have great mocktails like the Hawaiian here. And they're spoiling us with this beautiful flaky Nutella puff pastry and also these chicken lollipops with a lovely sweet chili dip. Here we have the creamy Winterfell mocktail with candied orange. And we're also having the Mamma Mia with banana and passion fruit. And my favorite one, the Positano with strawberry and peach.
I really look forward to having like some real talks with you, especially I am particularly really intrigued with your decision behind leaving the company that you built, Female Daily, especially when there is still so much potential to be unpacked and opportunities to explore. And I think it is actually a great time, and I really think your story would maybe help our audience be able to have some good introspection. Because right now in these unprecedented times, I think many of us face circumstances and unexpected situations, and sometimes we don't really know how to digest it. So I would really love to hear your stories today.
So yeah, many people still ask me that question, even though so I left Female Daily late 2018, but I didn't announce it until 2019, correct? And it's already 2 years, and people still come up to me and ask me, why is it that you left, right? Because understandably, people were wondering, because Female Daily was something I built. I built it in 2007 with my partner Hanifa Ahmedar. At that time, as you can imagine, the digital world is not like it is now. Was not like it is now. Yeah.
Were you on was there Facebook yet? Yes,
Wikipedia,
Facebook was there.
There
Yeah.
was
Facebook, yes, but people were not.
MySpace?
Yes,
Was it
exactly.
MySpace?
Friendster, yeah.
Oh, you should, young millennials watching this will know.
And blogs. Everyone was having blogs.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
So Female Daily, early Female Daily was exactly that. So blogs and forums. So
Yeah.
because at that time there wasn't any platform for Indonesian women to kind of connect, to share, to inspire each other. So that's really what we wanted to do, and that's what we successfully did. So we created this amazing community of women. We became also a media. We became a review platform. We became basically the community is really at the heart of Female Daily.
Where people go to if they want to check on the product reviews.
Yeah, product
Or it
reviews,
was
anything.
before the time of influencers, and or you
Before,
were
way
you were
before.
with the whole platform one of the first
I
influencers.
would maybe yes, I would say
Queen
that even though
Mama
the OG.
The godmother of beauty influencers.
That time 2007, 2009, not many. Yes,
No,
still
no.
not as many as now. For sure.
I don't think you even know the term influencer
Yeah.
at that time. So so we're able to do that, and I'm incredibly proud of Female Daily then and now. But yes, I did leave the company, and unfortunately, when people ask me that question, I cannot really answer it with a straightforward answer. There is no one sentence one sentence answer because there are many factors behind it. And I talk a little bit about it in my YouTube channel. I created a video explaining, but it wasn't actually the complete story. And I never really talk about it in any platform until now.
We feel very honored.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel really comfortable with you guys. So I feel like maybe it's an important story to share, because I don't know, maybe it will help someone out there listening to this. So what really triggered the decision to leave Female Daily was actually a personal reason, because I was supposed to get married. So I was engaged. I was with this person for 7 years, and the plan was that we were going to get married, and after that we would leave the country. So move out of the country. And because I wasn't going to be in Indonesia, it was going to be hard for me to stay in Female Daily. Of course, knowing that, it still took me a long time to arrive to that decision, because how could I, right? I mean, it's my baby, it's something I gave birth to, something I built. So I had a lot of conversation with my partners. At that time, it was the three of us, Hanifa, Novita, and me. And it took us I had many conversations with them about this. So it took me maybe almost 2 years, so more than a year, almost 2 years, to finally say, yes, okay, I guess I'm leaving. I mean, there was no other choice. Unfortunately, along the way, the plan kind of fell apart. I mean, the personal plan fell apart, so the engagement broke off. But apart from that, so separate from that, I also arrived at the point where I felt like maybe I needed a change in my life. Maybe I was ready to kind of move on and start a new chapter in my life. I fully realized that it was a huge actually two huge life-changing decisions that I was facing, right? Because one is breaking off a 7-year relationship, and then another one is leaving this company that I built. But I don't know why at that time there was something in me that said, okay, maybe I need to start over. And by starting over, it's both personally and professionally. And as much as it was sad for me to be making those decisions, I feel like I did make the right decisions. I feel like I can confidently say that I am where I am yeah, I mean, I'm happy where I am right now. I'm where I'm supposed to be, and I am always proud of Female Daily. I'm always, always be supporting them, supporting my partners and Female Daily. But like I said, I'm just happy where I am right now. So I made the right decision. I feel like.
Yeah, and I also remember that. I remember the story because she told me the story, and it was tough, right? It was difficult because she was with a guy for 7 years. But even before that, I'm also very proud of her because I admire her because she is still a single mother, right? That's something that not many people talk about.
Yeah.
So she has a daughter, a sweet daughter,
sweet 13-year-old,
sweet 13-year-old, sweet teenager.
So
You'll get there.
I have another 5 years until she's right.
So yeah, I think that alone will set her apart. Being single mom was not easy in Indonesia in a way, right? With a lot of talks and everything.
Yeah, so when Regina said that, I was sad when we were, when we had this event in Bandung. I had just broken off at that time. So it was like literally 2 days before the event that I had formally. So of course at that time, like the relationship itself was kind of coming to an end, but the formal, decision just happened 2 days before that trip. So,
but she was still very
but
professional.
Of course, I couldn't.
She's still very professional.
I mean, this is Queen Mama, the OG, who raised a daughter, built a company while going through her own personal. Wow, that is so admirable. Wow,
thank you.
Wow, that makes me like emotional just thinking about it.
It was. I think when I heard that, I said. It was not easy, because it seems like it happened to you twice, right? You broke up, divorced with the first one, and the second one you almost got married, and then at the end you broke up with that guy.
Yes.
So I think there's a lot of changes in her life on how moving into seasons. So yeah, I'm really admired with that story.
Wow, I think your decision must have been disappointing for quite a lot of people.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Yeah. I mean, like the ones working with you, the ones, I mean, especially after, you had the breakup and you still decided to go on with your decision, where probably everyone else would have been like,
Going back.
oh, thank God she's going back,
Yeah, it was a little bit complicated, but I think in the end, people who knew the true story, the full story, they understood where I was coming from. So
it takes so much courage and openness to be able to just share, and like these, because those were really, like you said, major moves, like life's decision. And it just also triggered something inside of me as I was listening to you, was that it made me think that, as we mature in life, I think each and every one of us in different contexts will have to face making some tough decisions.
Yes.
And those tough decisions are what actually kind of opens the door and moves us into a different season, so to speak, in life. And what I notice normally also when we're making those difficult decisions, they become unpopular quite quickly, because it usually relates with a place, a person, or an external circumstances. And for yours, it was two major decisions, one on a personal level involving your relationship with someone, and then the other on a context of the company that you built with what, like Viola was saying, it must have disappointed people. And what my observations from that is usually, I think nobody has any issues with those decisions if they were just, revolving like me, myself, and I. So like if I were to give like a really silly example, it's like if one day I decided and announced like, oh guys, I'm not gonna eat KFC for the rest of my life. Nobody's gonna be like, everyone's like, you're not gonna have KFC for the rest of your life? Oh, okay then, sure. Maybe they just think like, oh, JJ just decided to like not make some drastic junk food decision. My friends, nobody's gonna be affected by that decision, because it's me, myself, and I. And I think like usually when people take an issue with our big decisions in life, is because actually they have certain form of vested interest in it.
True.
And therefore they would try to convince us to stay in it. And that made me want to ask everyone like this question, which is how do we actually manage these negative reactions to decisions that we know are the right thing to do, especially in that point in time and for our current season in life, but they are unpopular or perhaps even taboo for many. Like
Right.
how do we manage that, right?
For me, well, when I listen to Affi just now the story, yeah, but it's true. Sometimes we make decision that is quite taboo. I think her being single mom at that time, divorce, making decision to get a divorce was a taboo for Indonesian culture, especially.
Yeah.
And maybe related to my own story was when I almost got married too. 8 years back. Wow, it's so long now. Was it 8? No, actually, almost 10 years back. Venue was set, wedding dress was there. I already save the date to my friends overseas.
Wow.
And then, yeah.
Did they book flights?
They did. Some of them from Canada and US. So, but I think, but then I think 5 months before the wedding itself, we kind of like broke up. So I decided to actually not going through with the wedding. It was a very tough decision, and believe me, not many people were happy. But I'm grateful that my parents understand. They understood at the time why I made the decision. But of course, a lot of people couldn't, right? And for me, like your question, how do I deal with the negative input from the other people? It was like, as long as I know that what I am doing was true to my conviction, and I have no regrets about it, I will still making that decision in my life. Because I don't think people's opinion will define my future. Your future is not defined by what other people are saying about you. As long as you know that the decision that you take is right.
Yeah.
And you have that conviction. Problem is, a lot of people do not have that convictions, right?
Yeah.
And when you do not have that convictions, you let other people's negative input or feedback to affect you.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important for you to know why you are doing what you are doing, the reason why, and have that conviction, so you will not let the negative opinions from others to bring you down or to define who you are.
Or define your future.
Yes.
But I think sometimes it's not just that you're not convinced of what you're doing is right or wrong, but I think like in your situation, I think I know some of I know some people who've been in the same situation and they went on with it because disappointing other people was worse than living with the wrong decision for the rest of their lives. And seeing that in my friends, and that they went like in some particular friends, and that they went through with it, it was like such a disaster. And now they're either stuck with it because culturally they will never, and they will never disappoint people basically, so they will still stay stuck in it. Or it gets worse, and then you have like another divorce, and and it's like your first divorce, and if you keep going like that, like it might be another divorce, and and so there might be a lot of different reasons why, right? Like either you're not convinced that what you're doing is right or wrong,
This is a fear,
or you're putting other people's expectations or their possible disappointments more important than your own life, right? And I think it's a self-worth problem maybe, and also like a people-pleasing problem, right?
I myself consider to be, I consider myself to be a people pleaser, like a chronic people pleaser. And I think culturally we are also kind of conditioned to not, especially not disappoint our elders, right? Asians, it's very hard for us to like separate ourselves or make life decisions separating ourselves from our family or our elderlies. But for me, when it comes to like major life decisions such as ending my marriage and becoming a single mom, it was just too important for me to like care about what other people think, right? Because I was just at that time truly unhappy and very sure that if I had continued, not only that I would live a miserable life, but it will also impact my daughter in a very negative way, and that alone is enough for me to make that decision. So for me, I think my struggle the first few years of that was not other people's opinions, but it was my own. So I think I saw that the ending of the marriage as a failure, so it was more me. So I saw it as a failure. I went around feeling really terrible about it, not because people judge me, maybe they did, but I didn't really hear about it, nobody really, I didn't really hear, or I didn't really choose to hear it, but it was my own voice, it was my own self-blame and all the negative thoughts that were just weighing down on me, until a few years I realized that I am actually in a better place. I just have to be aware that yes, in a way it was we made mistakes. I mean, both my ex and myself, but we can learn from it. I can learn from it, and I'm a much better person, I think. And I couldn't have been where I am right now without all those mistakes, right? And we are actually we're friends. We are co-parenting our daughter, so we are still in a very good relationship, probably better.
Wow.
Yeah. So we really work hand in hand in like raising our daughter. My daughter has a great relationship with her father, and he has a new family, and I have a good relationship with his new family. So,
what a
works out for
blessing.
better.
I don't think everyone has the same experience.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're right. Yeah, but I think when we are so fixated on the mistakes, the failure and everything, yes, we can carry that all through the years and all the future decisions that we make. But if we realize that it's a failure only if you don't take something from it, you don't learn, and then you repeat it, yes, I consider that a failure. But if you realize what it is that you did wrong, and you learn and you become a better person after that, then it's just things that you went through in life.
And I almost felt like maybe it's because of your mindset or the way that you looked at the perspective of your situation. You were able to be it opened up something, you're a much better person inside, so that even as you're co-parenting with your ex-husband and his current new family, you were able to have good relationships. It's because you're not carrying, I suppose you didn't take any of the negative energy from that failure and from that whatever other people's opinions, and then you bring it into your new season or this new place that you're at, and so you're actually able to be at a very good state in terms of relating and in terms of facing whatever is the new situation and the new circumstances, because your frame of mind is in such a healthy place. I mean, that's really admirable. And what I think that you could arrive at such a healthy frame of mind was also because you did not choose to be victimized by what had happened to you. And I think that's like girl power. That's really girl power. That like takes strength from the inside. And
I think it takes a really healthy attitude also to deal with the hard, tough times in life and decisions that we made and perceived failures, right? And I was wondering, like, what do you think are like other attitudes that you need to have? Like, what are the kind of attitudes you need to have to transition into your next season of life without things holding you back? Like, what would that be for you?
That's a very interesting question.
Yeah.
So, I never really thought about attitude that's needed to acquire, for you to move into new season. I remember there's one quote from Stephen Furtick. He said that do not judge yesterday's decision based on your today's wisdom. So when I listen to that, it's kind of like sink into me, because a lot of people are so afraid to move into a new season, or maybe they've done it before and they regret it because they judge like, oh, if only I did that before. Or if only. So it was like, it's very difficult for them to let go.
Right.
It was very difficult for them to accept.
How long did it actually take you to get the right attitude after you were going through that failure, right? Like, how long did it take you to arrive at that place? I mean, it's not like, oh, the thing happens and switch. I'm gonna have the right attitude for this.
It's like, yeah, call it off, and my mind's in the right place, right?
Switch it off. You know? No, it didn't happen. But I cannot say like certain months, certain years. It's different for every person.
Yeah.
But what about you?
For me, it took me quite a while. It took me until I really entered a new season. It took me probably 6 years. It's a long time.
Years.
Wow.
I'm not saying in those 6 years I was dwelling in my mistake. No, I didn't. No, I stuck in that situation.
You got stuck for 6 years, basically.
I got stuck for 6 years.
Not moving on in your life relationally.
Yes, I move on from him, for sure.
Yes.
But I couldn't move on from the mistake that I did, the
Yeah.
failure that I did, or the feeling that I failed
Yeah.
for the mistake that I had. So it took me 6 years until I realized that, oh, I think this is a time for me to move on. Move on as in not into a new relationship, because it's not only about relationship. It could be your job, it could be your business, it could be sometimes people that are close to you, or your friendship. There are things in your life that I don't think this is right for me. I don't think this will serve me right for my new season. So I need to move to a new season in my life.
Yeah.
It took me quite some time, actually.
What about you, Affi? Like, how long did it take you to? How long did it take you to find the right attitude, and what was the change that happened internally?
Right. I would say I cannot really keep track on how many years it took me, because I think it's like a process, right? You don't wake up one day and say, oh, I've, yeah, or, oh, I got it. Yeah, it's not like that. Yeah.
Once you find it, everything's okay, right?
Yeah, I think it's like a journey. Or an accumulation of like experiences, things you hear from other people, conversations you have with yourself. Those things that kind of taught me a lesson, and I feel like my attitude now towards life in general is that I see myself and the things that I do is like a work in progress. So I feel like I'm always moving towards something better, hopefully something something better. So I'm not that set on like reaching perfection in anything. I know it's an unpopular mindset, because I feel like we are living in an era where people tend to be more on the perfectionist side, right? People want to get things perfect and right all the time. I'm not like that. So I don't strive for perfection, but I feel like I want to do better. So I feel like it's okay I don't get it perfect now, but I know I can do better next time. So it's always like that. So I have this, I think people call it
so
growth
healthy.
mindset, right?
Yeah, it's a growth mindset.
A growth mindset, because I feel like if you I don't know, I feel like it's just easier for me to move through life that way. So like you said, we have seasons in life, and it's not so easy because changes are hard, right? But I think if we look at our life as that, it's like a process, it's like a journey where we always strive to be a better person, better mother, better wife, or better business owner, or what have you. I think it's just easier to move that rather seamlessly than resisting those changes.
Yeah, because I think it's difficult, right? If everybody wish, like you mentioned, you have switch that you can just say, now it's done.
Yeah. Like for me, I feel like I'm moving into a new season, not from a mistake, but from, oh, this is done. Like my kids are like not toddlers anymore, right? Like now I can start, focusing on my work again, and it would be easy to have like just a switch back from mom mode to back to work mode.
Yeah.
And arrive there. It is difficult right now. Like it's like it's so hard, and also you cannot. I mean, it is just also connected with a lot of fear, right? Like for me personally, switching, like turning into a new season and knowing there's new things to come, and like now the life that I've built, it was good, and I think I've done right, but now it's time to grow into different areas. It's comes with so much fear because you're stepping into the unknown and you don't know what you're capable of anymore.
Yeah.
Or maybe even if you have been capable of it before, will you be able to do that with kids, with the husband now? Like for me, right? Like, will I be able to manage it the same way? Will I have the capacity? Will I have the right mindset still? Can I physically handle it? Like, there's so many fears attached and self-doubts. And so, for me, I'm still struggling with getting into the new season. But since about like 1.5 years ago, I started to tell myself I'm gonna do a lot of things now, little and bigger things that I'm afraid of, just because I want to get in the habit of facing fears.
Yeah, that's
So I started like riding the motorbike in Bali, you know, which it's scary, but
that's
it's
gutsy.
well, you know, for some people it is, but there's so many women in Bali driving a motorcycle. But for me, it was like, you know, it's scary, but I think I would like it, you know. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna face that fear. And then also in Bali, but it was another, like a year later, I looked at the surfers and I thought, wow, you know, they're so dedicated. They have so much joy doing what they're doing. I'll never know what they're feeling. What is that joy? And the moment I realized, like, wow, there's another thing that I would really like to know how it feels, and it's the fear holding me back, like fear of accidents, having the board in my face, the ocean. Like, I mean, it's real things and it's real dangers. Yeah. But other people do it and they seem to be fine. And so then looking at the business world, other people are out there in business world and they're also surviving, right? So why should I not dare it? Why should I not do it? And so I'm gonna do it afraid. Just like I did the motorbike, I did the surfing, a few other things, but I'm just gonna do it afraid. And if I fail, well then I hopefully learn something from it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody, let's say business, right? I don't know. Now I'm in my third business. I don't think I've ever entered a business where I know everything. You know, I don't.
Like work is the same, yeah.
Yes, I mean, half the time I'm just figuring out as I go. So I think that there really shouldn't be. I mean, fear should definitely not be holding us back.
I think comparison is another thing, right?
You compare someone's 10 with your 0.
Right?
I'm really loving this like little individual sharings in between because as you were all sharing your stories, I really observe it's like that idea of having different prisons inside our mind. And one that I really heard out of it is that we are afraid of other people's opinions because we don't know what's on the other side, and we don't know if we're up for the challenge and if we could actually manage it, and if we could or if we couldn't, there would be opinions at the other end of the other side. And what if those weren't, you know, good constructive ones, but they were the ones that we know could actually tear us down. And a second prison that actually came up in my head as we were sharing here was, it's very subtle, but it's that prison of comfort zone. You know, the key point, how to get out of all these prisons is to see fear with a different eye. So there is this quote by Jason Sobel that basically says, like, fear is a tomb that seeks to bury you alive and robs you of your potential and purpose. And I think, like just now when I was saying that those two prisons is very dangerous because both fear of people's opinion and fear and the prison of comfort zone makes us really stuck, we just, it's like stale bread. You just stay there because it's so comfortable, even though you know you shouldn't be in that comfort zone. But the challenges, the fear of the challenge was just too much for you to, or you think inside your mind that it's too much for you to take.
Yeah, and I remember that you mentioned just now, right? There are two things that sometimes makes people like they're stuck in their moments. One is the fear of people's opinion. Second is the comfort zone, and also I think it's the fear of challenge, right? That you think that the challenge is so big in front of you, you don't dare to overcome it, or you think that you are not capable to overcome the challenges. But actually, you should. For me, challenge could make you better.
Preach it to me.
Yes. Challenge could make you better. And sometimes we should be grateful for the challenges that we had in our lives, because it's really going to make you grow. Without challenges, your life will be stable or without growth.
Yeah, no change.
Yeah,
You're
no
stale.
changes, right?
Like
It's
what
just
I was
stale.
saying, stale bread. It's still bread. It's good, but you stay stuck there for too long.
Yeah.
You
Not
lose your
going anywhere, yeah.
function.
You
You
lose
lose
your
your
I feel like it's a bit like imagine your life as a flying vehicle. Like let's say you can, like you can fly in your life like a paper plane. Like it flies slowly and it drifts over the field and lands somewhere, and you're in motion slowly, and it's a nice, comfortable flight, right?
Yeah.
But if you actually have the purpose to, you could actually have the potential to be a rocket ship and reach the moon, then it will take a lot more effort and challenges and failures to actually build that rocket ship.
Yes.
It's easy to build a paper plane,
Yeah.
but it's very hard to build a rocket ship, and it takes like several tests and tests and tests for all the little details, and then there will be a failure, and then there will be 40 failures and 100 failures, and after all the failures are worked on,
Yeah.
and like the challenges are
challenges
overcome,
Yeah.
you're ready to fly to the moon, right?
Yeah,
and
true.
and for me, I think it was like 1 year ago, like before the whole COVID thing happened, there was something that came to me, and I'm like, like I have to face those challenges and those difficulties, and I have to not stay in my comfort zone, because life will be nice. It's not bad to be a paper plane.
Yeah.
But if I have the potential to be a rocket ship, I would be so sad coming to the end of my life thinking, what if, and what could have been, and what kind of impact could I have had on the world, and I didn't have it.
It makes me think of this song that I really liked, that I heard for the first time when I was 19 and I was in college. So it's by this female British rapper. She's called Miss Dynamite, and the title of her song is called Get Up, Stand Up. And there's this little part inside her chorus that actually says like, nothing's worse than potential that is hidden. Don't could've, should've, would've, too late, I didn't. And then she goes on to share like, while most of us, struggle to strive for what we believe in, just, remember those who died, who had the strength to die for what they believe in. And I was 19 when I heard that, and until today, it continues to serve as a reminder for me that I don't want to live that I could have, should have, would have, too late, I didn't. And why I can speak so firmly about this and I can relate is because for the longest time, I was there. I struggled. I had this internal tug of war because I was living inside a golden cage, but nonetheless, it was a cage where I was lamenting again and again and again for years. I almost sounded like a broken record tape because I was playing this dilemma inside my head of, would I be deemed unfilial? If I stop taking an operational role in the family business. Being experienced and being able to do something well doesn't mean that that is what I was called for, and that is my hidden potential, and that is my potential and purpose to be here. And one day it just, after, I only recently, when now that I'm in this phase, I started really being open about, that time in the past when I was working, I never liked my job. It was never anything I was passionate about. It was something I did purely out of obligation, and I guess respect and love for my parents. But it was, when it stopped resonating with me, it was that tug of war. Was it a comfort zone? It was a perfect comfort zone.
Even though it was so much work.
Yeah, it was so much work. I really hated my job. But for a lot of people to walk out of a safe zone, a guaranteed safe zone, seemed, I don't enjoy it, but I could dwell here because it's safe, quote unquote safe. But I think I would have not been able to be in this state of mind and where I am as of right now if I stayed, and I didn't overcome that tug of war dilemma inside of me. I would have never been able to move forward. I would be holding on and holding on so tightly because there was that two prisons.
Yeah.
It was that, okay, would everybody think that it wasn't so much about how people would judge me. It was more about, I was concerned how people would judge my parents, because they would have thought like, oh, you must have not taught your children well because they're so unfilial. They would just not run your business, and basically those quiet conversations were there. Like I'm so glad that I actually took the challenge, because if I didn't, my life would have no change. My life would have had no growth that meant something for me. Yeah.
What gave you actually the strength to face the challenge and to get out of that season, against all those opinions of business partners, family that you could disappoint?
I think conviction that, it's that, like I said, that
conviction.
quote, right? Like I didn't want to be that person where I finish my life and be like, oh, I could have, should have, but I didn't. I think I kind of also see it in such a way where I think we're all here for such a limited time, and in that limited time, I believe we're all unique, and it's very important that we don't live our lives based on what someone else thinks we should, even if those intentions are good. And that was one very critical life lessons that I learned. And the second one, and when I was making those decisions, was another realization I had was, whatever circumstances that we are at up to that point in time were based on our knowledge, our understanding, our maturity up to that point in time. And during that point in time, that served me well. That was the right thing to do. Despite not liking and not being passionate about what I do, I gained a lot of valuable experience, and it allowed me to basically be able to pretty much transition to anything. I was more ready. Like, when I love what Affi was sharing, like, this is probably your third time on a new entrepreneurial endeavor. We might not know exactly everything, but because we moved forward and stepped out, but whatever was in the past actually gave us experience and to start again. But this time we're not starting from nothing.
Yeah.
We're starting from experience.
Yeah. True,
and
true.
having that having known that I don't want to live my life with regrets, I was very convicted that I don't want to come onto earth and just be pure wasted space by just staying in my comfort zone and just dwelling in something that is safe. What if I was like 70 or 80 and then I realized, like, oh my God, I was put here on earth to do a certain thing, but I'm already 70 or 80. I don't have the strength. Maybe your mind wants to do that, but we all, I don't want to reach that point. And I think conviction is very important.
But I think it comes to the questions that a lot of people will ask is, then when do you know you have to quit?
That's a good one.
And when do you know that you have to let go? Because for JJ, the realization came maybe, I don't know, after 15 years.
Yeah.
That's
why I said
the could have, would
relate.
have,
Yeah.
should have.
Yeah.
But a lot of people know when to stop, but they do not know when to quit. For me, I don't know. I'm quite a simple person in a way, but I agree with what JJ said.
Except when it comes to makeup.
It's very complicated. But for a lot of
Look at the result.
for a lot of things, I'm quite simple, because also I am a person who was driven a lot with passion, and I'm quite easy. Not I'm saying easy to move on, but in a way I'm easy to take new challenges because I'm easily get bored.
Yeah.
But quitting is different. It's not about I'm getting bored and I quit.
Yeah.
No, it's different. It's more like, how do I know when I have to quit this season of life and move to another thing? I agree with what JJ said. It's the conviction.
Yeah.
It's the conviction, and sometimes you need to be aware of your environment and yourself to know, again, it doesn't serve my purpose anymore in my life. And a lot of people do not want to let go. I remember a story about a monkey. I always tell this story to people when they do not want to let go. When they want to catch a monkey, they give them peanuts.
Yeah.
So the monkey
Okay.
will hold the peanuts, and then they put a cage.
Also, they put the peanut in the cage.
In the cage. They put the peanut in the cage.
Okay.
So he will hold the peanuts, then he couldn't get out from the cage.
Ah.
Because you have to grab it like this. So
Yeah.
you can
That's
get
how they
out.
trap-
Also the
so that's
hand,
how they
yeah, the
trap the
hand.
monkey.
Yes.
The
that's
hand
how
can
they
get
trap.
in, but
Cannot
as soon
get
as he
out.
closes it, it cannot
Cannot
get
get
out.
out.
And he didn't want to let go.
Yeah.
He wants the
Ah.
peanuts. But it trapped him.
Yes.
So it's sometimes like life. You know that you should let go.
Yeah.
but
You can
do
be
not
free
want
when
to.
you let
can
go.
be free when you
Yeah.
let go, but you do not want to, even
Yeah.
though you know how bad it is.
Yeah.
And a
You
lot
hold
of
on
people,
to peanut.
yes, a lot of people holding on to that peanuts in their
Yeah.
life because they think it was good for them, it was comfortable for them,
Yeah.
but it doesn't serve their purpose. Like you said, to be a rocket plane, you have to let go of being
Yeah.
just a paper plane.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a really good analogy.
Yeah,
I
it's
love that
like
story.
on how you come a realization into your life that okay, whatever that I'm doing now is no longer serve the purpose of my life. So stop living like the could have, would have, should have.
Yeah.
You know, and do it. And it's not related of being bored with your job. I'm not saying that if you're bored then you quit and then you move to another job.
Which is a fine line. I mean,
Yeah,
so-
very thin, fine line.
It's a fine line, and only in your heart you actually
Yes.
know. Am I bored,
and
or
we cannot
am
tell the
I?
audience when, right?
Do I just not want to face the challenge of that
Yes,
job anymore?
right.
Right? There's so many different factors,
Yeah.
there's so many different factors. It could be looking like you're giving up, or you're actually quitting out of conviction, right?
Yeah.
I like what you said when you said, "This does no longer serve my purpose.
Yeah.
Therefore, I quit this or I let this go."
Yeah.
Right? And my husband was like, it was like the last season. In the last season, my husband had a really good job, and it was like his comfort zone job, and he did
Yeah.
it so well. It was an amazing job. And I was really surprised how one day he came to me and he said, "I'm gonna stop doing this." And I'm like, "Do you not enjoy it anymore?" And he said, "No, it's my favorite job. It's my favorite job.
Wow.
But I just feel like it holds me back from my higher calling, from my purpose." And I was really, I was really surprised.
Yeah.
But what I saw over the months, that followed, and how he then developed into this purpose and calling, which is amazing. I saw that he let go of this stepping stone in the past that actually brought him to a higher place, and he stopped glorifying it. He stopped glorifying it as the thing that brings him higher.
Right.
And he actually let go of it, because sometimes there are things that help us go into a season,
Yeah.
and they actually helped us get there. But if we don't let go of them, they
Yeah.
become like an extra burden on our shoulders, or
Yeah.
they hold us back from stepping into the new thing.
Yep.
It might be good, but is it really the great thing of the new season? You know?
Like very often when people are talking like, "Oh, who are you?" or whatever, they would be like, when they share certain stories, I notice people tend to share more about their victories and those stepping stones. But for me, I actually think when I immediately be able to identify who are the really strong people in my life is that when they start sharing stories, they with so much how do you call it? In a way, I wouldn't say they're proud of it, but they are kind of like they feel joy in the failures or in being able
Yeah.
to, like you said, oh, I used to have this stepping stone, I let that drop, and then I tried this new thing.
Yeah.
It didn't quite work. I failed, and but then from that, I learned another thing, and here
Yeah.
I am.
So it's interesting what you said, JJ, because I think that for a lot of people, and myself included, we maybe subconsciously we tend to kind of make our job or our status or whatever it is as our identity. So we create an identity around this job, this position, right? And then so when we wanted to move away from it, we're scared because we think, wait, if I'm not that, who am I? Am I still going to be me, right? For the longest time, people associate me with Female Daily. Affi is always synonymous with Female Daily for a good reason, and I was proud of that, of course. But in another way, another part of it was I started to think, do I want to be that forever, right? Is this really what I wanted to be known for? Not that there's anything wrong with that, but for me, it's not only about the business, it's not about the position, it's not about the job, but it's about, like you said, the purpose.
Yeah.
What is it that we wanted to do? What kind of contribution that we want to give to the world? And that's more important than the position or the business or the job for me. So I think that's one of the reasons why or one of the ways for me to know that it was time to kind of move on. But I don't think that was possible if I didn't eliminate all the noises around. And going back again, right, to what we said about other people's opinions, people's disappointments, fear of letting down people. If I had taken all of those into account, I would never take that decision. Yeah, because it was just impossible. Everybody was like, "Are you insane? What do you want to do? What are you going to do?" And like you said, right? People ask you that question, and you might not know the answer right away. And people just couldn't accept that. People thought that if you want to leave, you better have a fixed plan. And I didn't.
They try to convince you.
Yeah.
Right.
It's really similar with both of you. You left without knowing where it's gonna go, and you left without knowing where it's gonna go.
Exactly, but I just know I was gonna go somewhere else. I was gonna move on, and I knew that it was the right thing to do. I just don't know it yet. I mean, what it was, I couldn't explain it to people. So
was it like, how do you say? Was it like a gut feeling, or was it something that had formed in your mind for a long time, or was it like a voice inside you reminding you all the time? I mean, like everyone experiences that differently, right?
Yes.
How do you know, and how could other people know?
Okay, so that's a really good point. For me, yes, it started as a gut feeling. I started noticing how I felt after I woke up. I know it's kind of silly, but I started noticing that a lot. Even until now, I notice how I feel when I wake up. Do I have a spring in my step? Do I feel excited? Or do I kind of drag myself out of bed, like not really looking forward to the day? And I just keep on noticing those things. And then I try to eliminate. I'm not saying that I just blocked off people's advice. I try to take that or listen to them or take them into account, especially those who are close to me. But I do a lot of inner monologue. I do a lot of journaling. I just have a lot of conversations with myself, not in a loony way, but
Self-reflection.
Nothing wrong with
Again, I relate.
Self-reflection, yes. And for me, journaling helps because it just helps to kind of
clearing up points.
Clearing up,
sorting it,
exactly,
connecting it.
Yes,
right?
because sometimes what in our head could be like a jumble of thoughts, and putting it in writing it helps. So that's really what I do. I mean, it takes time, of course. You don't. I don't come to that decision fast, but eventually, the more I have this inner monologue, the more I have conversation with myself, the more I'm sure that's really what I should be doing.
Even though you're walking in your purpose, there will be times you're dreading waking up from your bed, right? But I do believe that is one of the signs that when you were dreading, constantly dreading
for a longer period of time.
That when you're waking up and you feel like there's nothing else for me to do, or it's like, okay, it's just the same old kind of thing,
sometimes
right?
you don't feel dread, but you feel empty. Yeah, that is also a sign. But again,
because it's a different thing if you dread like maybe certain people at work,
or maybe just
or
tired,
certain situations, or certain things that happen, and maybe you felt like a failure. Now you don't want to show up anymore. That can also lead to, I don't want to get out of bed, like a kind of a bit of a depressed feeling, right? So that's why you said like the journaling helped you actually sort all those things in your head.
Where does it come from? Like what's making me feel this way? All those things are important.
I do agree, like the dread or the lack of enthusiasm and those emotions of emptiness is very telling. But another good thing to think about, I think, when we are on that journey of deciding that this is time to let go, this is time to quit, is to also think about how to quit. What do I mean by that? I think when it's a matured decision like the ones that you had to make, the right type of quitting, and not like, oh, I don't like this, I don't want to do it.
Like slowly withdrawing. That would be me.
Yeah.
Ghosting.
Very slow.
So coming back to that, how do we quit is, I think when you have the healthy type of conviction and just that feeling, even though you don't know how it's supposed to exactly pan out and what you're transitioning into, how we quit when it's right would make it very easy for us to plan out the transition so that our decisions don't hurt or impact someone else. Of course, somebody is going to, when I say hurt or impact, I'm not talking so much about the emotional level, because we've touched on it. When someone has a vested interest in you staying, they're going to get emotional, whether you know it's good for you or not to leave. I'm really talking about the people that are around you, and maybe people that that would be impacted by your decisions. How do you plan things out so that our decisions when our presence is missing from that space or from that time in our new season, we're going to not be in their lives, they're still going to be okay. And I think that is something that is very important, especially because we're adults. Obviously, I wouldn't expect this of a child, or let alone a teenager, because you're not at a capacity yet. But I think especially in this unprecedented times today in the pandemic, many times when these unexpected circumstances happen, people drop things like a hot potato. But when you're really transitioning into a calling or into something new and big that is worth it, how are you going to actually have respect? Maybe people are going to be upset at first, but they will gain that respect for you because they saw the steps and the good example of how you actually left something. It is not with spite, with anger, or just irresponsibility, and how we do it is very important.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think that's a really, really good point. I think that one thing that we have to keep in mind, we're talking about big life decisions, right? And so this is not something that should be taken lightly.
Yes.
I mean, I said about, checking in with our feelings, listening to ourselves, but that is something that is not done in like a few days, right? That is something that you check in with yourself from time to time. You look at the situation, you talk to people, listen to people's advice, and once you have arrived in that situation, I think that it is important about thinking about, okay, what is the best way to do it, because you don't want to burn bridges. You want to make sure that this people or organization or companies that you leave behind, they are
very good actually.
Yeah.
Don't burn bridges.
Yeah. So with Female Daily also, that's like I said, the process of me actually leaving the company was 2 years, and like I said, I'm still pretty much, even though I'm no longer the owner and I'm no longer involved in the day-to-day operations, but I'm still, pretty much a Female Daily girl, so
You're still proud of it,
your baby.
Yes,
It's still my baby.
Yeah.
Still proud of it. In any way I can, I still support it. So I think, it's not like you move on to a different season in your life and then you close it completely.
Agree.
The previous chapter, it's not like that at all.
Yeah, I think you like you mentioned, you don't burn bridges. For me, like even if I move out from at that time I work for L'Oreal, right?
Yeah.
Even though if I move out from L'Oreal, I'm still proud to be ex-L'Orealians. That's what we call it. Like you were ex-Female Daily, because it served my purpose at that time.
Yeah.
At that time it was the perfect job for me. It was a perfect career for me.
Yeah.
And I'm still very much grateful with whatever lesson that I learned during my 8 years in L'Oreal.
Yeah.
So for me, it's really, you mentioned how to quit.
Yep.
It's very important. So when you quit, making sure that you don't bring a negative impact to other people as well.
Yeah.
Even though it's impacting only you, but you have people around you, right? So I think that's a very good point.
Yeah, but if you bring those changes, it will always be uncomfortable in a way, right? Like there's no way you're not disappointing anyone, or there won't be any discomfort, or but I once heard that quote. Like, we're having a lot of quotes today, right? But I really love that, and it really stuck with me. It's saying that healthy things grow, growing things change, and change is always uncomfortable.
Oh,
And
I love that
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
We cannot
So true.
always avoid everything in life. If we don't want to live with discomfort, we just can stay where we are and never move on,
Yeah.
never move out of it. But getting comfortable with that discomfort, that is actually a goal, like a goal we can have, or it can be a philosophy that we have in our life to face the discomfort and go through it anyway, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, I like the quote.
Yeah, me too.
Healthy things grow. Right? If you're
Yeah.
not growing, means you're not healthy.
In a way,
In
yeah.
a way, yeah.
I'm just really, really thankful for all these brave and honest conversations today. And I really, I just get the sense of feeling that, you know, even for myself, even through these conversations, that it made me feel that I made the right decisions in having those convictions when I decided that it was time to let go of where I was in the past and to actually move forward. And I really hope that our conversations today actually would really trigger good introspection and to actually give someone the encouragement and courage.
Oh, and I also would like to add that yes, it is tough being a single mom in a society like in Indonesia, where being a single mom is very stigmatized. But I do feel like I am lucky in a way that I have a lot of support behind me, my family, my friends. I know that not all of them are as lucky as me. Not all of single moms are as lucky as me. But having said that, what I do want people to understand, what I do want people to know is that single moms are not victims. They're not the victims of the situations. A lot of them are fighters, they're warriors, you know. It's amazing. I know so many single moms who, you know, raise their children alone, grow as a person, have amazing careers, have businesses, or just all around, you know, awesome kick-ass women, right?
Like
So,
yourself.
yeah, so I really hate to be seen as a victim. I am not a victim, you know.
that's true,
If anything, I work harder because I'm a single mom. I work hard because my daughter is the single biggest motivation in my life. You know, my motivation is to provide the best life I could give to myself and my daughter. You know, so I think that it's very important to not look at single moms that way. Don't look at single moms like, they are this helpless women who can only be saved when they marry again. You know, it's not true. You know, so and
that's right,
I also would like to say to single moms out there that you don't need to be. You know, I mean, of course you can if you want. That's what you want. If you meet the right person, but you can, you know, be independent. You can, you know, you can create a good life with you and your children. So, you know, you're not a victim. We're not victims. So that's really what I wanted to say.
That is some serious life tidbit for single moms, and I really think, I love that you shared that just now, Affi, because I do sense that there is more taboo over being a single mom, and that easily translates into lack of support. Lack of support, both resources and emotional support also, because instead of coming with understanding ears to listen, to understand what made you make that decision, because nobody would ever want to end their marriage. Nobody would choose divorce if they want to, because at some point, we touched on, is that at some point you were both in love with each other, and you just figure out that you weren't for each other anymore. But leading up to that point, I think very often people, when they meet single moms, the first thing is there's a negative connotation at the get-go, and it's that opinions, and that's why sometimes people stay in miserable marriages. And Affi, thank you so much for being
my pleasure.
I mean, just tremendously honest.
And such an inspiration.
Such inspiration.
Thank you, guys.
I hope your daughter, who would be watching this, you know, I'm pretty sure she would be very proud to have a mother like you.
Thank you.
So much wisdom.
Yes, and I really wish that you continue to be this woman of like strength and grace and just courage to, you know, do new things. And I think Indonesia needs a lot of, and generally all over the world, we need role models of women like you. And please keep doing what you do. Yeah.
I think I learned from all of you as well. So many good quotes.
I'm gonna
take notes of all of them and then keep on reading them. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Affi. Thank you. If you liked our talk, please leave us some comments below and click the subscribe button and click like and whatever else you can click on this page. We're really grateful if you do, and it will help us continue on this journey and with this mission to bring more values and perspective into this world. Thank you.
Once again, we wish you to be brave and courageous, and we send you lots of love and light. Until next time at the Powder Room, goodbye.
Bye. Bye.